Hello here, Michael Neff, Director of Gears Golf. I'm going to do a short video right now on angle of attack. Angle of attack, and I'm using Jesper Parnevik. We had him at the PGA show last year, and we had him doing a bunch of different types of shots. So I've picked one where he was hitting way up on the ball and one where he's hitting way down on the golf ball. There's a few visuals that are kind of fun to turn on to basically see the difference in what happens when you do those things. A lot of different things here to go through. Man, there's just like, kind of endless, things happening here. The wrists are pretty similar here, but the shoulders, if we look at the body lines, you'll see that the shoulders are a little bit steeper. The spine tips back a little bit more on the one where he hits up on it. But the main difference is the ball position. And I think that's what I wanted to focus on today is, how do we change angle of attack and what happens when we do change it? So in this case, Jesper Parnevik, as he hits more up on the ball, the club path goes more outside to in. As he hits more down on the golf ball, the swing path goes more inside to out. Both have benefits. Both have penalties. As the more you hit up on it, as the swing path gets more to the outside to in, you're going, obviously you're going to fight that club path a little bit, and you start fighting pulls and pull fades and pull hooks. And an alignment adjustment might be necessary in order to hit the fairway or get the intended result. But you also, as you start to aim the player way right to accomplish that, you can also introduce right and right left. So be careful when you just try to hit guys way up on the ball, because the path will start to shift to the left. Same is true for hitting down on the golf ball. As the more you hit down on the golf ball, the more the path skews to the right. The handle path has a lot to do with this. And you can see that on your visuals by going to hand path and down the line. You can pick up on some different trends there. But generally speaking, you've got to be careful when you go too much down on the golf ball too, because that's going to shift the path to the right a lot. And that can result in low push fades, low push hooks. But it also depends on what kind of player it kind of depends on what kind of shot you're trying to hit. Ricky Fowler likes a low, boring, penetrating ball. Bubba Watson likes a high, powerful, high draw. And those guys play a lot of golf together, and they hit very different golf shots. And a lot of it has to do with ball position and pelvis center, and how close your pelvis gets to the ball, and how your head's moving and your shoulders are tilting. So the one thing I will add to that, the angle of attack, this is kind of a cool feature in Gears, that you can basically see what that angle is by just scrolling. If you turn on club head vectors, you can see that at different parts of the golf swing. So like here, the angle of attack is 4 degrees down, and here the angle of attack is 12 degrees down. So like if I wanted to see the low point of, let's see, here's his low point right here, and if I went above, I can see what his club head path is at low point. So we went through that on the video prior to this, but that's kind of a cool feature that you can kind of see what the angle of attack is at all these different places in the golf swing. As far as what does angle of attack do to the golf ball? So as you hit more up on the golf ball, you're going to launch the ball higher. If you're not managing what the shaft is doing and how much loft you're presenting to the golf ball, you can create a lot of backspin, which can be good and bad depending on what types of shots you're trying to hit. So the more up you hit on the golf ball, the higher the launch. But you'll notice here that my loft, if I don't keep my loft in check here, I'm going to get probably a lot of spin, and that may or may not be good for what you're trying to do. But if I want to hit the ball the longest, I think TaylorMade came out with thing a couple years ago that was 17 launch and 1700 spin was kind of like the optimal for carry and roll, and that probably has some to do with speed as well. I don't know if that's for every clubhead speed, but the only way you're going to get to 17 launch is if you hit up on the golf ball, probably 4 or 5 degrees or higher, and keep the spin at 1700. So you're going to need low loft and high launch, low loft and high angle of attack to get to 17 launch and 1700 spin. And if you wanted to take advantage of that, Gears is a great tool to be able to measure that type of thing. So what do you need to actually present to the ball in order to get to 1700, if that's what you're after? We'll go into more detail in videos of like on some of these other videos when we talk about the shaft and what's happening here. You know, he's deflecting the shaft, and the more the shaft deflects and the more the head kicks, the more the angle of attack will go up. So if I had a stiffer shaft right here, and let's say I didn't have as much lead deflection, that would lower the angle of attack and the ball would move up on the face. So managing what kind of loft you need to get the ball launched the way you want it, and getting the ball in the right spot where you want it is all part of what we're trying to help you with here at Gears. That's kind of a little short breakdown of, you know, what you're after. You kind of cannot separate club fitting from teaching. That's kind of my big thing. As those of you who've worked with me a little bit, you know, what the shaft is doing and what the loft and the head are doing are all integrated on what you're trying to do with their path and angle of attack. And you simply just cannot separate the two. If you move one, the other will move. And that's true also of club path and angle of attack. So you cannot separate the two of them. If you move one, the other will move. And and we've illustrated that here in this video. So anyways, if you hit too much down on the golf ball here, then you rob yourself of good launch conditions, right? So if you hit down on the golf ball, the ball's going to have to launch lower, and you're going to have to really lower the loft, or you have to increase the loft to get more spin. And you know, that's kind of, you're going to have to hit it higher on the face to get the ball to launch higher without the spin. So you might gain more of a drawing motion, but you also are going to launch it a little bit lower. So really there's a kind of a fine line between these. I think his stock shot is really somewhere in between these two. And he told me he really likes to shape the ball and hit different types of shots. So he's actually hit both of these types of shots in tournament conditions, and you know, pretty different numbers with a very similar golf swing to produce different types of shots. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send them off to me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and next video is going to be on face to path and the relationship there. Thanks a lot.